Tupac is still alive. The theory starts with the Machiavelli alias and all that cryptic 7-day business. Tupac dropped that album 7 weeks after he supposedly died. Fans went wild, pointing to all the sevens. Died on the 13th at 4:03. Do the math, more sevens. People said that meant he planned it all. Then there's the mystery around the funeral. No public footage, rushed cremation. His mom waited to speak out, and somehow no one could recover the Cadillac. All that set off alarms. Now comes the great escape. Rumors say a body double got left in the car while Tupac was flown out by helicopter. First stop, New Mexico or Barbados. Some say he moved through Belize or just skipped right to Cuba. There's even a filmmaker who claims Tupac slipped into Navajo land before bouncing. One guy swears Fidel Castro personally signed off on the whole plan and helped Tupac settle in Cuba. Supposedly, there's even video proof. After that, the sightings started popping up. Mexico, Malaysia, Belize, New Mexico, Brazil, and, of course, Cuba. Even Suge Knight's son claimed he was alive in Malaysia back in 2018. Believers connect everything. Machiavelli, the fast cremation, missing car, supposed body double, even the lyrics. Add in autopsy photo leaks and cryptic billboards from Death Row Records. All that's seen as part of a larger, carefully staged plan to disappear. Some fans even expected him to return in 2003. They still think he's hiding, either protected by Castro or tucked away somewhere no one would expect. Dr. Creeps. Pandemic predicted COVID-19. This theory kicked off with a lyric from the song. 2020 combined with coronavirus, body stacking. Yeah, that's what started it all. People saw that line and thought, no way, someone said that back in 2013 without knowing something. It exploded across TikTok, with users slapping the clip onto all kinds of dramatic edits. The theory formed fast. Dr. Creep must have known, predicted, or had access to hidden info. There's more. He didn't just name drop coronavirus. He said it alongside 2020 and talked about bodies piling up. Then came those eerie bits about labs and vaccines. Stuff like begin life in a lab in the first vaccine war. That got folks drawing parallels to lab leak debates and pandemic origins. Add in quarantine scenes and evacuation sounds in the background. That's enough fuel to keep social media buzzing. TikTok made sure this didn't stay underground. The app's quick, looping nature cranked the theory into overdrive. Every new post added a layer, making it feel bigger each time. People began digging deeper, calling it predictive programming or even psychic foresight. Some threw in terms like remote viewing. Others said he was whistleblowing, subtly warning about biotech gone wild. Then came the media wave. Outlets picked it up, calling attention to how weirdly close the lyrics were. Analysts pointed out that the drama of it all, rap, prophecy, and a deadly virus, was too irresistible for the platform to ignore. The result? A full-blown digital myth. It all stems from one line, a few sound effects, and a bunch of TikTokers convinced that art imitated life too well. JayZ and the Illuminati. This theory says JayZ is more than just rich and famous. He's allegedly part of a secret cabal. The foundation of it goes way back to a real group in 1776, the Bavarian Illuminati. Fast forward to hip-hop in the 1990s, and suddenly fans start noticing weird stuff. Hand signs, odd lyrics, and symbols that don't seem accidental. The most famous is that diamond-shaped gesture JayZ throws up called the rock sign. Conspiracy believers say that's actually a pyramid symbol tied to the Eye of Providence. Then you get into the music videos, and onto the next one. It's not just artistic chaos. People point out skulls, goat horns, and those creepy blood-red lips. JayZ gets lit up with triangle-shaped lighting. Other visuals toss in hints from Aleister Crowley and Masonic symbols. Combine that with lyrics touching on fate and secret knowledge, and it's no wonder theorists see signs of elite messaging. Add in those okay hand signs, one eye poses, and finger over mouth shots, and now you've got a whole playbook of supposed Illuminati signals. The theory also claims JayZ's not acting alone. Beyonce, Kanye, Rihanna, they're all cast as fellow insiders or puppets. The goal? Allegedly pushing a new world order through mass influence. Fans say it's how they explain his massive success. Some claim the symbols are a marketing tool, while others swear it's deeper than that. Every time he flashes that sign or uses a certain lyric, it just reignites the fire. To believers, JayZ isn't just making music, he's dropping breadcrumbs for those who know how to look. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Drake killed X? That's the theory flying around again. Mostly thanks to Ryan Garcia tweeting it out like it was a fact. People latched on quick, saying this must mean Drake had some kind of role in the X murder. The theory's got roots in a feud from 2017 when X accused Drake of copying his flow. That sparked enough tension to fuel years of speculation. Then came the courtroom twist. In 2023, Drake was subpoenaed to talk in court about the case. That gave the theory fresh legs. His team blocked it though, saying there was zero connection. But fans didn't care. They pointed to that subpoena like it was the smoking gun. On Reddit, folks went all in, arguing Drake could have sent money down the line, influenced someone, pulled strings, without ever getting his hands dirty. The idea that a superstar could hide involvement behind layers of distance is a favorite among theorists. Add in social media chaos and Garcia's tweet hitting millions, that was enough to bring it roaring back. Friends of X shut it down fast. Ski Mask told believers to go touch grass, while DJ Scheme backed him up. Garcia deleted his tweet, but by then, the wildfire was already lit. This theory sticks because it's got celebrity drama, courtroom drama, and just enough circumstantial noise to keep it going. People want a villain. Drake's fame and past beef with X make him a top candidate, even with no evidence. It's less about facts and more about how humans fill gaps when there's a vacuum, and how fast a tweet can turn into a headline. Biggie predicted his own death. The theory begins with his debut album, Ready to Die, which fans see as more than a bold title. It's a statement. That album ends with suicidal thoughts, where Biggie imagines his own death in grim, vivid detail. Lines like "My life is complete" and "I'd be better off dead" aren't just dark lyrics to believers. They're seen as a chilling sign of what was to come. Then there's Life After Death, his second album, dropped just 16 days after he was killed. Track titles like "You're Nobody," "Till Somebody Kills You," and "Somebody's Gotta Die" are pointed to as more than thematic choices. They're viewed as the lyrical breadcrumbs he left behind. The overlap of release dates and subject matter, for the theory crowd, it's not random. It's intentional. In one interview, Biggie said he felt like someone was trying to kill him. That paranoia wasn't brushed off. Fans took it as confirmation he knew something was coming. And when he was killed on March 9th, with Life After Death landing less than 3 weeks later, it only reinforced the belief. People online dive deep into this. They post about it on forums, share clips, dissect the lyrics. They believe he wasn't just rapping about struggle. He was predicting how it would end. They say the album titles, interviews, and lyrics combined into a story he knew he'd never finish. To them, Biggie wasn't just a prophet of pain, he mapped out his own fate through music, turning each track into a page of a tragic autobiography that wrapped the whole narrative in eerie finality. Juice WRLD faked his death. One of the biggest pieces believers point to is the album from Clever. They notice that the first letter of each song title spells out Juice WRLD is alive, with the last track literally called Alive. That turned the whole album into a blinking sign for conspiracy theorists. Fans say that's no coincidence. It's a coded message from someone who was close to him, saying exactly what they believe happened. The album was originally set to drop on December 8th, the anniversary of Juice's death. That date alone would have poured gas on the theory, so when the release got delayed, fans didn't see it as random. They think it was postponed, just enough to avoid suspicion while still keeping the message intact. Clever's role only adds fuel. He was touring with Juice, part of his inner circle. If Juice really did fake it all, Clever would be one of the few people who'd know, and someone who could leave behind subtle clues that wouldn't get flagged. Then there's Legends, that now infamous track. The line "We ain't making it past 21" hits hard because Juice died at 21. On a Sunday, fans loop it back to the lyric about meeting demons on that exact day. They don't think it's poetic, just strategic. These elements combine into one of the most persistent angles in the theory. Between the album acronym, the delayed release, Clever's deep connection, and lyrics predicting the age and day, believers think they've found more than coincidence. They see a deliberately layered message that Juice WRLD never really left. He just flipped the script. Suge Knight killed Tupac. That's what this theory says, and it all starts with control. Death Row Records control. Believers argue Tupac was about to leave the label, which would have cost Suge Knight millions in royalties, unreleased recordings, and future revenue. If Tupac walked, Knight lost not just an artist, but a vault full of hits. That's the motive. Eliminate the problem before it costs you everything. Then there's the shooting. Knight was in the car, front seat, right next to Tupac. He got grazed. Barely. Theorists don't buy that as luck. They claim it was a calculated move, designed to look risky while keeping Knight out of serious harm. If it were a gang hit, wouldn't both targets get taken out? Detective Russell Poole took it further. He claimed Knight ordered both Tupac and Biggie's murders to protect his empire and remove threats. He even alleged corrupt LAPD officers helped cover it all up. That kind of insider involvement gave the theory serious weight in the eyes of believers. Then there's the money trail. Tupac reportedly owed Knight $10 million. If he left the label, Death Row could have lost it all. Killing him locked in ownership and wiped the debt. That's not just violent, it's business. And the cremation? Knight claimed he paid $3 million in cash to cremate Tupac fast. That raised every eyebrow. Who pays that much in cash unless they're trying to keep things quiet? The secrecy around it just added fuel. Books, films, and documentaries like Biggie and Tupac helped keep this theory alive. They all point back to power, profit, and paranoia. To believers, Knight didn't just lose an artist, he made a move to protect the brand. And if killing Biggie after that shifted suspicion, all part of the plan. Eminem died in 2006 and was replaced by a clone. That's the core of this theory, and it kicks off with what fans say was a hard shift in 2006. According to believers, the real Eminem died in a car crash that year, and what we've seen since is an android or clone built to keep the brand alive. They point to the change in his voice first, saying it got deeper, less raw, and more mechanical. Then come the face breakdown. Fans zoom in on his jawline, eye shape, and even blinking speed. They say his eyes lost that familiar spark and look lifeless. Photos comparing Slim Shady to later Eminem get passed around like crime scene evidence. Some even claim stage footage shows glitches, blips in the matrix, tiny signs that the current version isn't quite human. The music evolution adds another layer. After 2006, the tone shifted. He dropped the comic chaos and turned introspective. That change in style, believers say it's not growth, it's a different person entirely. Tom MacDonald's track-cloned rappers only added fuel. He raps that cell samples were taken and used to build celebrity replacements. Eminem's name is right there. Online, fans argue it in circles. Some say there are two people. One was Slim Shady, the other's a copy playing the role. They track every move, every word, every expression, claiming it all adds up to a quiet swap that happened years ago. To them, this isn't just a theory. It's a rebooted legacy, running on familiar programming, wearing a face that only looks like Marshall Mathers. Lil Uzi Vert is Lucifer. That's the core of this conspiracy, and it starts with the name itself. When you say Lil Uzi Vert fast enough, some people swear it sounds like Lucifer. That phonetic twist became the launchpad for the whole theory, dragging Uzi into a digital era satanic panic. Fans and conspiracy theorists point to a mountain of imagery. There's the upside down cross tattooed on Uzi's tongue, revealed on Easter Sunday, no less. Then you got lyrics like "I make a city girl believe in Satan," delivered live, fueling claims that this isn't just shock value. On top of that, Uzi's social media has flashed 666 references and inverted cross symbols more than once. Add in the Marilyn Manson connection, someone Uzi's publicly admired, and you've got another piece tied to known satanic aesthetics. People have dissected every post, every outfit, every lyric. Even Offset called it out, warning artists to stop with the devil stuff, saying it looks lame. But Uzi's pushed back hard. In a GQ interview, they said they don't believe in Satan and don't subscribe to traditional religion at all. They called it all a human-made construct, saying their symbols and lyrics are part of performance, not belief. Still, the theory sticks. The name similarity, demonic visuals, cryptic posts, and high-profile criticism form a perfect recipe for conspiracy culture. Even if Uzi says it's all art, believers see layered clues of allegiance. It's not about facts. It's about what people think they hear, see, and connect. For the theorists, Lil Uzi Vert didn't just flirt with dark imagery, he signed his name in it. Diddy set up Tupac. That's the spine of this theory, and it all traces back to the Quad Studio shooting in November 1994. Tupac walked into a recording session expecting business as usual. He got shot 5 times in the lobby. Believers say it wasn't random. It was a setup, and they say the people who arranged it were tied to Bad Boy Records, including Sean Puff Daddy Combs. Tupac himself made the accusation loud and clear. He claimed Combs, Biggie, and Jimmy Henchman Roseman knew what was coming. He thought they lured him in, staged the hit, and then mocked him afterward. Songs like Against All Odds are basically audio indictments. Then there's the LA Times report from 2008, pointing fingers at Roseman and Sabatino, both tied to Combs. That piece got pulled when sources turned out fake, but believers held on. To them, it didn't erase the smoke. In 2011, inmate Dexter Isaac said Roseman paid him to shoot Tupac. That confirmed part of the theory, at least the shooter's side, but Combs wasn't named directly. Still, the dots stayed connected in fans' minds. Investigators like Cheryl McCollum say the Quad shooting set the stage for Tupac's murder 2 years later. Same names, same circles, same silence. Combs denied it all, but the theories lived on, fueled by Tupac's own words, shady connections, and a music video war that looked a lot like Confession by Taunt. At the heart of it, the idea that keeping Tupac quiet or off the board entirely benefited those building a brand. And in the eyes of believers, Combs didn't just build a label, he played the long game. Blueface's label is a cult. That's the theory making its way through YouTube deep dives. It centers on Wack 100, Blueface's manager since around 2018, who's described as more than just controlling. Supporters of the theory paint him as a cult-like figure, steering Blueface's career with an iron grip. They say Wack's speeches sound more like sermons, his loyalty demands go past normal, and his grip on the artist's life runs deep. At the core are the alleged contracts. No leaks, but the rumors say they're one-sided, locking Blueface into long-term deals that mostly benefit Wack. Believers claim the contracts give Wack control over music, money, and branding, making it nearly impossible for Blueface to walk away. That's where the cult label comes in. Forced loyalty, power imbalance, and financial dependency all under the same roof. But it's not just paper. Wack's also accused of managing Blueface's every move, interviews, tweets, brand deals, even public feuds. The idea is that Blueface isn't operating independently. He's being positioned, scripted, and used to boost Wack's platform. Fans call it out constantly online. Some say Wack keeps conflict circling Blueface to keep him in the public eye while making sure control stays in-house. Whether it's drama with other artists or viral stunts, the story always loops back to Wack's narrative. To believers, this isn't just bad management, it's total immersion. They say Blueface didn't just sign a record deal, he signed up for a system where loyalty isn't optional, independence is an illusion, and Wack 100 sits at the top like a leader with a script. 4 Bats is an industry plant. That's the theory bouncing around, and it hinges on how fast he blew up. In late 2023, 4 Bats dropped a handful of moody, genre-blending tracks like Act 2, Date 8, and within weeks, he was viral, label signed, and Drake was remixing his stuff. And suddenly, this guy with no real lead-up had the biggest cosigns in the game. Believers say that kind of rise doesn't happen without a script. They point to how 4 Bats launched on polished platforms like From the Block, wearing a ski mask, mixing R&B with trap visuals, and singing with a pitch shifted falsetto that somehow feels tailor-made for TikTok clips and short-form loops. It's not just music, it's rollout strategy, and fans say it's too perfect to be natural. His mixtape, You Made Me a Star, dropped and doubled down on the mystery vibe, which didn't help. Everything he does adds more to the idea that he was cooked up in a label lab. Even he leans into it. In interviews, he laughs it off, calls himself the boogeyman, and wears the theory like a badge. But to believers, that's just misdirection. They think he was planted, built to dominate virality, signed before the buzz was real, and dropped into the culture already packaged for the algorithm. Dr. Dre started Burning Man. That's the story some corners of the internet love to repeat. And it goes like this. In 1995, Dre was out in Nevada, scouting locations for the California Love video with Tupac. That's when, allegedly, he stumbled across a group of weirdos in the desert building a wooden man. No tickets, no fences, just vibes. According to the theory, Dre saw $. He supposedly wrote a letter to his girlfriend, talking about this thing in the desert where people were expecting 5,000 attendees. He said someone should get behind it and make some loot off these fools. From there, believers say Dre pitched, paying for the BLM permit if he could start charging for entry. And so began the birth of Burning Man, at least in this theory. The event, which started as a free expression bonfire on Baker Beach in San Francisco in 1986, gets rewritten in meme lore as Dre's profit playground. According to the tale, ticket prices went from $35 up into the hundreds, and the whole event transformed into a commercial juggernaut, all thanks to Dre's vision. But Burning Man HQ says no. The actual founders, Larry Harvey and Jerry James, started it in the 80s, moved it to the Black Rock Desert in 1990, and have been swatting this theory down ever since. B.O.B. was blackballed for being flat Earth. That's the theory fans won't let go. B.O.B. was topping charts between 2010 and 2012, with massive hits like Airplanes and Nothing on You. But after that, silence. According to believers, it wasn't because he fell off. It was because he said the Earth is flat. In 2016, B.O.B. posted a series of tweets saying the Earth had no curve and that science was lying. He didn't back down either. He dropped a diss track called Flatline and took aim at Neil deGrasse Tyson, calling out the entire scientific establishment. The song didn't just double down on flat Earth, it veered into lizard people and Holocaust denial. That's when things got cold. Mainstream coverage mocked him. Neil clapped back with TV appearances, interviews, and even his own diss verse. The backlash turned public. Then in 2017, B.O.B. launched a GoFundMe asking for $200,000 to launch satellites and Find the Curve. It raised less than 600. Fans say the weak support wasn't about the idea. It was industry sabotage and media silencing. After splitting with Atlantic in 2015, B.O.B. went full indie and released conspiracy-heavy mixtapes like Earth, Water, Fire, and Air. The entire Elements series was packed with anti-establishment themes. No radio play, no promo, just B.O.B. in the wilderness. Supporters of the theory say this wasn't career decline, it was exile. They believe his chart collapse came from industry retaliation, not musical failure. And the message is clear. Speak flat earth, get shut out. They call it censorship disguised as obscurity, and they think B.O.B.'s silence wasn't natural. It was enforced. Record, labels, push prison music because they own private prisons. That's the theory, and it's been bouncing around since at least the early 2010s. Believers say big record labels like Universal, Warner, and Sony aren't just pushing music. They're allegedly backed by investment firms like BlackRock and Vanguard, firms that also hold large stakes in private prison companies like GEO Group and Core Civic. The idea? The same people making money from music are profiting when people end up behind bars. The theory goes deeper with the story about a secret meeting in '91 where label insiders were allegedly told that their employers had investments in private prisons and that their job was to steer music toward promoting crime. Rap being the tool of choice. They say that's when gangsta rap really took over the airwaves. Whether that letter is real or just urban legend, it's become a key part of this narrative. Ice Cube added fuel in 2023 when he said the quiet part out loud. The same people who own the labels own the prisons. According to him, some records are made by committee with clear intent to push young listeners toward criminal behavior. Fans argue that certain violent lyrics and themes are always approved, while conscious or anti-establishment tracks are ignored. They say it's not about art. It's about feeding the prison system with profitable outcome. No one's produced concrete evidence of that secret meeting. But with hedge funds in every industry and private prisons tied to rising inmate numbers, believers see the pattern. To them, the labels aren't just selling records, they're selling futures and buying cells. Diddy's main victim was Justin Bieber. That's the theory, framed entirely from believers' perspective. It starts with the claim that Bieber was around 15 when he began spending time with Diddy. Supposedly, he even stayed at Diddy's house during adult-only freak-off or white party events for as long as 48 hours. Early exposure supporters say made him vulnerable to exploitation once he entered the industry. Then, there are the speculation videos on YouTube and TikTok hawking headlines like Justin Bieber finally admits and shows proof what Diddy did to him. They tie lyrics from his 2021 song, Lonely, to hidden trauma, linked back to Diddy, interpreting lines about feeling abandoned by a powerful figure. A particularly creepy piece of evidence comes from a 2009 video featuring a clip of Diddy casually saying he'd spend 48 hours with a 15-year-old Bieber. Watchers see that as alarming context for possible misconduct, especially in light of broader accusations against Diddy. Believers also emphasize Bieber's more recent public behavior, sporadic Coachella performances, cryptic Instagram captions, and cryptic or coded messages as signs of lingering psychological distress tied to that early period. Officially, Bieber's camp pushed back hard. His representative issued a firm statement. He is not one of Diddy's victims, and focusing on him distracts from real survivors. Bieber himself has stayed mostly quiet, though his shift to fatherhood and stepping away from the spotlight is interpreted by followers as distancing from that traumatic chapter. MF Doom has been dead. Fans didn't just raise eyebrows at the 2-month silence after his passing, they raised full-on conspiracy alarms. MF Doom, real name Daniel DeMille, reportedly died on October 31st, but nobody outside his family knew until December 31st. That delay, it wasn't just unusual. People pointed to his legendary secrecy and thought, of course it'd end like this. Mysterious, sudden, quiet. A lot of fans think the delayed news wasn't just grief or privacy, it was intentional. Some believe his family or close circle may have had something to gain by waiting, like protecting unreleased projects or curating the rollout of posthumous content. The missing notebook rhyme situation didn't help. That thing was dropped halfway through in 2017, then vanished. Add that to strange uploads still showing up on his SoundCloud, and people couldn't help but speculate that Doom wasn't completely gone, or that plans were still unfolding behind the scenes. His mask, his persona, the villain aura, it all played into it. Doom always blurred the lines between who he was and what he wanted you to think. So when the world finally found out 2 months late, people weren't just mourning, they were decoding. And they noticed that even industry insiders didn't know until it hit social media. That shocked fans. How could someone so respected disappear without even his peers knowing? To hardcore believers, it wasn't just a delay. It was a final act. The curtain didn't fall. It was lowered slowly, with intention. His silence became part of his story. That's what makes this theory stick. It fits too well. It's chaos, it's calculated, it's very doomed. The Grammys are allegedly rituals. The internet lit up after Sam Smith and Kim Petras hit the stage at the 2023 Grammys with red lights, cages, and devil horns. Conspiracy fans instantly called it a satanic ceremony. Flames, dancers in cages, and that over-the-top devil imagery, that was enough for critics to shout ritual before the curtain even dropped. Senator Ted Cruz even joined in, calling the performance evil. That was just the beginning. Then came theories about humiliation rituals, with names like Jaden Smith and Bianca Censori thrown in, after they made appearances that some said were meant to embarrass them as part of some initiation by shame theme. Fans of the theory swear these public acts are coded events designed to condition or control. Rituals, not just fashion faux pas. There's also this idea of recurring visual cues. Red lights, horns, and fire. People analyze every stage layout, calling them altars. Every group choreography becomes a procession. Madonna brings out a whip and it's read as a symbol. Not just a gimmick, everything starts to feel like part of one big performance with hidden meaning. Supporters of the theory connected all to the old satanic panic. Only now, the setting is glitzy award shows instead of small-town daycare. They don't all think it's literal devil worship, but more like performance art with dark undertones. Still, even the Church of Satan dismissed Sam Smith's act, calling it boring. These theorists treat Grammy performances like secret ceremonies, hiding in plain sight. Real or not, it keeps people watching and guessing. Whether it's theater, symbolism, or both, the speculation isn't fading. People aren't just looking at who wins. They're looking at who gets sacrificed, symbolically, of course. Eazy-E was injected with AIDS. This conspiracy hinges on a bizarre moment in 2003 when Suge Knight sat on Jimmy Kimmel's couch and casually mentioned that people could inject someone with AIDS-tainted blood. Then he tacked on, "That's the easy thing." Fans didn't let that go. Many took it less as a joke and more like a masked confession, especially since Eazy had died just 8 years earlier after a fast, shocking AIDS diagnosis. The theory keeps getting oxygen. Every time Suge pops up in the media, the clip resurfaces. And when Eazy's son said he found it suspicious how quickly his dad declined after being seemingly fine for years, people leaned in harder. They connected back to 1991, when Suge and his crew allegedly strong-armed Eazy at Galaxy Studios. The motive? Control of artists like Dr. Dre and Michelle. Eazy was a roadblock. The dots get connected like this. Eazy gets threatened. Years pass, then boom, out of nowhere, he's diagnosed and gone in weeks. No one else in his circle had it. No prolonged symptoms. Just hospital, then death. Suge's joke suddenly sounds darker, and by 2023, he even repeated it during interviews. That only fueled suspicion. But not everyone buys it. Ice Cube openly questioned how something like that could happen without Eazy saying a word. And he pointed out, Eazy didn't mention anything about being injected, ever. Still, theorists aren't swayed. They say the rivalry, the timing, and Suge's reputation all make the idea possible. For them, it's not just a tragic death. It's a maybe covered up hit job with a microphone slip that never should have happened. Whether true or not, it's one of hip-hop's darkest rabbit holes. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.